friends, maybe if there was nothing for me and I would have hated a card, maybe I wouldn't. But I would still be afraid that, like, there's something lesser for them and then that card ends up 2 seats down or something.
Sure.
I mean, I'm pretty much just going to draft as normal. Like, in the spirit of competition, I don't really think too many people I know would want me to pass them something that wouldn't have gotten there otherwise.
Sure.
You know what I mean? I mean, you're just booster drafting. You're just trying to see what colors are available
Right.
and trying to put together a good deck with good curve and, the right. It doesn't change whether you're drafting next to your 2 best friends or your 2 worst enemies. No matter what, you're trying to draft the best deck you can.
This is just, we hear this from you all the time. It's just always just draft the best cards.
That's what you're there to do.
Yep.
You're there to draft the best deck you can. It doesn't matter. Like, when I sit next to Wesco and I know he likes white, I still draft white if I'm seeing white.
Sure.
And if I'm not seeing white, if it feels like it's being overdrafted, then I'll still not draft white.
So you don't let player preference influence you at all?
No, I mean, we're starting.
Yeah, we're underway here. We're looking. So Courser of Crufix. I see a Reap What Is Sown.
Retraction Helix, which is a card that I value really highly. A lot of other people like it, but don't seem to value it quite as highly as me.
We've seen both Reed and John pass Retraction Helix.
Yeah.
For cards that maybe were not as powerful as.
Yeah, and here I would take Courser of Crufix, as Reed did. Courser's just the best card in the pack. It's a 1-color card, just like Retraction Helix. There's just no reason not to start with it here.
Right.
It's just a pretty easy pick. It's kind of broken rare that I've been saying all day I really like. It's cheap. You can get your money's worth out of it. You can play it turn 4. You can play a land right away, even if they have removal. Plus, it's tough to kill anyway at 4 toughness.
Right.
It's cheap. It's tough to deal with. It's just a really effective card.
And that life gain from playing your lands ends up being relevant.
Yeah,
when you're playing these really tight matchups.
Yeah, well, it's not just the life gain; it's more the playing the lands off the top.
Sure.
Clears the way, so it increases the quality of your draws over the long run. It's almost drawing you a card every time you play a land off the top. Not quite a full card, but it's netting you card advantage in the long run.
So Temple of Enlightenment is shuffled to the front of the pack.
Oh, that would be an ambitious pick to take a Temple second pick. I mean, personally, I'd be looking at the Resco Sun Guide, and I'd be looking at the Nyxborn Eidolon. I think those are the 2 best cards in the pack.
Do you like a Resco Sun Guide significantly more than Elite Skirmisher in white?
Yes, a lot more. I don't even consider those too close.
He just took the land.
He
just took the Temple of Enlightenment.
It's definitely not what I would have took. The Temples are fine. I'll always play them, but I wouldn't second pick it over a Resco Sun Guide. I think that guy's good.
There we see a 7-drop, Silent Sentinel.
Yeah, that guy's not that great.
Aspect of Hydra.
Yeah, this pack is pretty weak.
Sunbond, Starbreaker.
This pack is really weak, actually. I mean, I might take the 7-drop here. What is it? Silent Sentinel?
Silent Sentinel.
Yeah, I might take that guy. I mean, I don't like that guy a lot. I'm not real happy about having to play him necessarily, but this pack just really offers nothing.
Yeah, no, that's a 7-drop that may very well not require an intervention.
Yeah, I mean, you may just end up playing it. You may not, but that's one of the worst third packs I've ever seen. Like, there was just no cards in that pack.
Yeah. There you see the Hero's Follower.
Yeah.
Pretty strong signal.
Yeah, and this should be an easy pick. If he took the Loyal Pegasus here, I'd be pretty surprised. Kira's Follower is really good, like first pickable. Its only constraints being it's a gold card, but he already has a green card. I mean, his only white card is a 7-drop that he doesn't care about. I mean, Kira's Follower is a clear pick
and
here.
his other cards are land.
Yeah, and his other cards are land, sure. Kira's Follower is what John actually took over the Retraction Helix. And actually, in a blue-green deck, I'm not super opposed to taking Kira's Follower Retraction Helix. It's just that was pick 1, pack 1.
Right.
And I prefer the 1-color card because I don't think the power difference was high enough.
And once you have, it's a minor thing. Once you have a Kira's Follower, Retraction Helix also gets that much better. That
it's a nice
ability
combo.
For the blowout of bouncing 2 creatures.
Yeah. And speaking of Retraction Helix, this should be an easy Retraction Helix for him. He's following up Kira's Follower. His deck doesn't look aggressive. Retraction Helix is generally better than Sun and Storm.
Right.
There are a few decks I might take a Sun and Storm over.
So if this was like the multiple Swordwise Centaur deck, maybe you lean Sun and Storm because you just want to get out on top.
Right, but considering it goes Born Theros, I guess I'd pretty much never be taking Sun and Storm over it because it's still pack 1 and you probably don't have.
You don't really know what speed your deck is yet.
Now this pick's going to be interesting because I would take the Nyxborn Wolf here, and I wouldn't even consider this that close. But I know some of the people that Reed works with like the Tromocratus a lot.
Which is what he just took.
Yeah, and I don't like that guy very much. So, I mean, I'm not really going to take him over a card like Nyxborn Wolf, which I consider, a good, flexible bestow creature. But, it's just a different preference. Can't really say who's right or wrong, but I haven't had good experiences
How
playing
often
these
have you
7-mana
played
cards.
Faded Infatuation?
You have to be the heavy blue deck, the same blue deck that wants nullifies and whatnot. Obviously, it doesn't look like Reed's going to be that, even if he plays blue, because he has Courser of Crufix. So, I mean, I don't think the Faded Infatuation is going to be playable in his deck. He just took it over virtually nothing. I mean, there's a Satyr Wayfinder.
Maybe Karametra's Favor.
Right. I mean,
not a card you necessarily want to play.
Right. Moderately playable cards. So, I mean, it's not a horrible pick in case you just can't get bombarded with blue and end up with a heavy blue deck.
How many 7-drops he can get in this draft?
How many 7-drops does he want to get in this draft?
There's 2 in this pack.
I mean, a lot of these packs aren't really offering much. Nyxborn Eidolon is just the only good card in this pack.
Yeah.
I don't really like Eater of Hope. It's just
a
little bit too much mana for what you get. Seems like Reed and I differ a lot on casting costs and power. I kind of go with the rule Martin Yuza coin that if you're not sure between 2 cards, take the cheaper one.
Right.
And it doesn't just, have to be you're not sure. It's just in general the cheaper cards are better because you can always cast them. It requires less.
So it looks like he's thinking maybe a little bit about black. He took a Conservative Timurat. He just took a Nyxborn Eidolon.
Yeah, black does appear to be wide open.
It's coming around the table late.
It's weird because he didn't see that much green. He did see blue, though, because he saw the Retraction Helix late. He saw the Kira's Follower, which is a blue-green gold card.
Way of the Underworld here, so setting himself up to be, maybe blue-black.
Maybe, yeah, and I mean...
Maybe green-black, who knows?
Yeah, I mean, this is how draft goes a lot of the time. I mean, I know we watched, a couple drafts today where people would just stayed their colors the whole time and were able to, and that's nice when it happens. Like when Finkel opened a blue-green gold card and then blatantly saw blue and green, especially green, and was just, able to put together that deck, that's great. But sometimes it goes like this, where you first pick Courser of Crufix, and that was definitely the right first pick, and Reed hasn't seen another green card.
Right.
It's not Reed's fault he hasn't seen any green cards in this draft.
Let's take a look at what this looks like as he starts sorting it out. So it's looking blue-black.
Yeah, and if you're going to have those 7-drops, you definitely want to have a really control-ish deck where you're trying to use them as win conditions and stalemate the game.
So he's going to want to see something like a Wavecrest Triton.
Those are cards that he would like, yeah. And he wants to avoid overly aggressive cards. 2/1s and pump spells. Those aren't really going to be what he's trying to do.
Omen Speaker seems like a fine card for him.
Sure. Find the lands to cast my 7-drop. Put the lands on the bottom because I'm playing 18 because I'm playing 7-drops. Yeah. It seems like that's where his deck is headed, and only if he opens good green or sees good green early, then he might steer back to the green.
Right, he hasn't really passed green either, so he may very well see a green flowing back to him this way.
And knowing he's probably not going to see much of it in Pack 3, you end up in quite a predicament sometimes when that happens. But really, you don't decide. You let the packs decide. If that Horizon Chimera is the only good card in this pack, you take it. If there's a good black card or a good single blue card, then you can take that,
Well, how about a Nessian Asp?
Well, since he's almost definitely blue, Nessian Asp is almost a blue-green card just like Chimera, because it's unlikely that he would be able to play the Asp and not the Chimera. He would have to play green-black. I guess it's not impossible that he could splash blue or drop blue and play green-black. It's just not a combination that I see played that often or that I've had a lot of success with in this format.
He does take the Asp here.
I mean...
Is it close for you between Asp and Horizon Chimera?
Yeah, sure. It's definitely close. I mean, I can see him taking the Asp because, I mean, Asp and Horizon Chimera are pretty close even if you are green-blue, and there's definitely some chance he ends up green-black.
Right.
So, I mean, the pick makes sense.
Sylvan Caryatid, Voyaging Satyr.
Yeah.
So, as we said, the greens here, there's a Vaporkin.
Yeah.
But you want to avoid Vaporkin because
he's not
feel like he can be aggressive.
He can't be an aggressive blue deck, no.
Right.
He should be looking at the Caryatid because, I mean, I think it's better than Voyaging Satyr, especially when he might be looking at 3 colors, which, he might have to the way this draft's going.
Right.
Not solid 3, but, certainly maybe splashing for a few blue cards or a few black cards.
There you go, and he does take the Sylvan Caryatid. and also just not like if it's a crucial mana creature, it's also not something your opponent can take away from you. They can't bolt that bird.
It's a more effective blocker. Also, Voyaging Satyr not really an effective attacker anyway, so it's nice to be able to play the Keratin and block with it, and then have it add mana.
Oh. Well, this is a new wrinkle.
I mean, it's interesting. Obviously, he's in a position to be able to play green, blue, black, to splash the Ashiok into a green, blue, or green, black deck. I personally wouldn't. I would time to feed. I kind of think Ashiok's a little bit overrated. Most of the cards like Ashiok that are Planeswalkers have been really busted and constructed, and not that great in Limited, because it's kind of frail. It doesn't really protect itself. Whereas, the busted Planeswalkers in Limited are more like Gideon and Elspeth, Planeswalkers that destroy creatures and have a lot of toughness.
Right. But isn't that what you want to see when you're playing in the top 8 of a GP? Don't you want like a big card like that? There's a Night Howler.
Not really. I mean, I want to see a Polychronus. I want to see a broken Limited card, not a broken constructed card. I mean, Ashiok's good. Like, don't get me wrong. If I was blue-black, I consider it first pickable, but I don't consider it a windmill slam or anything.
Sure. And certainly not something you would pivot on.
No, I mean, considering he's base green, he might have to be splashing either blue or black and doesn't necessarily know which one he's even playing with green.
He might be base black at this point.
Well, I mean, he went Sylvan, Keratin, and Nessian Asp to start this pack, too. It looks like he's green-black.
Yeah,
with a blue
agree.
splash for Retraction Helix and Ashiok. And when it's off the splash, that's even more reason to take your time to feed the heavy green card.
Green is wide the hell open.
Yeah, because he didn't see any or pass any last pack.
Yeah.
But we know next pack he's probably not going to see that much green.
Right. And someone's going to feel pretty good about getting a Nemesis of Mortals here pretty late.
Yeah, and it's nice because whoever is drafting green, to Reed's right, doesn't get unlucky here and have Reed taking all the green cards because this pack has 2 good green cards. And the last pack, Reed went with the Ashiok. So this person's still receiving a time to feed and a Nemesis of the Immortals,
that's right.
and not being completely cut off by Reed's sticking with green.
It certainly makes a better case for the time to feed, just, as you see the cards coming in. Nylea's Presence, Traveler's Amulet.
Well, I mean, I'm just talking about that was just like as a fellow drafter how I feel. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
From Reed's perspective, you don't care whether that time to feed gets to the green player or not. It's not like more of a reason to take it or not.
No, it was more of a reason for him to take. More of a, like the idea that suddenly these fat creatures that make the time to feed even better.
Oh,
sure. For him.
Sure. Yeah, that guy's happy to be drafting time to feed and Nemesis of the Immortals and whatever. I mean, I just think time to feed in a green deck is better than Ashiok being splashed into a green deck.
Well, the black. It really is. Look at how wide open this is. Both an Insatiable Harpy and a Grey Merchant of Asphodel still in this pack.
Yeah, the black's been wide open, and we know that. I don't know if he's going to see enough black for a Grey Merchant to be better or worse than Insatiable Harpy. Probably better, but he also has double Nessian Asp,
that
right?
would be close.
Well, he has double Nessian Asp already on 5. And, I mean, in a heavy black deck, Grey Merchant, of course, it's a mythic common. But in a heavy green deck with some black and a blue splash, how much is it going to drain for,
Colossus, ever playable in your world?
No, never. And also, the Opaline Unicorn adds mana of any color, and he's playing a 3-color deck, so that's a pretty easy pick for him.
Right.
I mean, I like how he's managed to put together a deck here out of a pretty rough seat. The only thing I'm not looking forward to is next pack. I don't expect to see the kind of green we saw this pack. And I don't like that Ashiok pick. Like, especially Ashiok, it's not the kind of Planeswalker you splash it. It's only 3 mana. It doesn't do anything for a couple of turns if your opponent wants to ignore it. It's the kind of card that's really powerful on turn 3 and not a good play after you found your splash mana and are casting it on turn 6 or 7. That pick I really don't like. I would have definitely took time to feed. Lash of the Whip late is good. He's happy with that. So he found black, which was really good because black was wide open. He didn't start it. He found it at the end of pack 1. He stuck with green because he had the Courser of Crufix. Look at this. Just nobody's playing black.
12th pick, Sip of Hemlock, or whatever that was, 11th pick.
Yeah, there's just no black players, it would look like. I mean, I don't know. Maybe one somewhere.
No,
nobody playing black.
He's the only one.
Yeah, Disciple of Phoenix, a first pickable quality black card coming 12th. So, I mean, Reed finds black, which is really good.
Right.
Sticks with green because that's what he opened, the Courser of Crufix. Yeah, so this next pack, hopefully Reed can really see a lot of black and enough green to put his deck together here.
Wow. Interesting. So let's take a look at how this is shaping up.
I really like that he found black, and I think it was okay to stick with green because I think that he didn't see good enough blue to really want to drop Courser of Crufix, a broken card. The only thing he's done that I don't really like was that Ashiok pick. I mean, Ashiok off the splash, time to feed is really good.
I think he might have been considering at that point that he could be going blue-black.
Maybe, but his two previous picks were both green. Sylvan Carotid into Nessian Asp.
Yeah. There you get a look. So he's definitely sorting it into
It's a nice, like,
Golgari colors.
mid-rangey green-black deck. It's got some mana acceleration. He's got some power, the Nessian Asps. Right. And Nessian Asp is a power card I like a lot. At only 5 mana, and it blocks flyers the turn it comes down. 5 toughness is really tough to kill, living through Rage and Lash of the Whip.
So hard to kill that card.
That's my kind of bomb rare, you know what I mean? I don't really like the 7 mana. Like, the difference between Eater of Hope and Nessian Asp is just not worth 2 mana. Right. Nessian Asp is a good card because you get a lot for 5 mana. Eater of Hope, you just don't get enough for 7 mana,
There's just, and once you cast it, there's also still so much that needs to happen. Wow. Keepsake Gorgon, time to feed.
Well, this is a pretty easy pick because, I mean, Keepsake Gorgon is a lot better than time to feed, and he's definitely black now.
Yeah.
I mean, I think he's definitely black-green. There's maybe some small chance if he gets bombarded by packs with only good blue cards that he could black-blue. But I think he's definitely going to be black after the end of that last pack.
Yeah, I agree.
So, I mean, this should just be a clear, easy Keepsake Gorgon.
And that's what he does.
Personally, I consider Keepsake Gorgon and Phalnix Leader to be tied for best uncommon in the set.
Sure.
I mean, they're so different and so powerful that I'm not sure I can declare which one's better. But I think that both are about the equivalent of most of the mythic rares in terms of their power level.
Wow.
Incredible uncommons,
well,
Keepsake
you
Gorgon
would certainly
and Phalnix
rather
Leader.
have a Keepsake Gorgon than a Eater of Souls, whatever that guy's called.
Yeah, that's not even remotely close to me.
Well, look at this Stormbreath Dragon casually going around the table.
Well, he clearly can't play it, so as long as there's something for him, I don't think he's going to take it. Yeah, and there's a Griptide and a Return Phalnix, so, I mean, this should just be a debate between Griptide and Return Phalnix.
No chance of a Storm Charter Warriors? He
No.
doesn't really have anything to put out to boost it up with.
He's not an aggro deck at all, so he's not interested in Storm Charter Warriors. He's interested in Griptide off the splash, Return Phalnix as a nice early drop. I mean, he has a lot of power and his deck's kind of slow, so I kind of want the Phalnix, but Griptide's a much better card, and he might even table the Return Phalnix because it doesn't seem like anyone's playing black.
No, I agree.
And I don't mind that gamble because even if Return Phalnix maybe is a little bit better for his deck than Griptide, you're not losing much if you end up with the Griptide instead. But the chance to get them both if you can table the Return Phalnix is just a lot of value.
Right. Nothing really in this room except for a Sip of Hemlock.
Yeah.
Which is fine.
Yeah. Sip's fine. His deck has a dangerous lot of casting cost. But, I mean, there's not much he can do. He should just try and prioritize some cheaper cards over more expensive ones the rest of the way if he can. Certainly, he can't here because you're not going to take Asphalto Wanderer over Sip. I mean, the Wanderer is really just not a playable card.
Right. And he got 1/14th pick if he really felt he needed one somehow.
That one's going to table, I mean, it's
exactly.
not a card anyone wants.
Exactly.
But he should be looking to prioritize cheaper cards.
Like say a Nessian Courser?
Nessian Courser's great. Well, Disciple of Phoenix. Disciple of Phoenix is a lot better than Nessian Courser. So, I mean, I'd probably take it. Plus, he needs to power up his other disciples and Gray Merchants.
Is Karametra's Acolyte a card you'll ever play?
I'll play
a deck
it.
Like this, it seems like it could be good with the Nessian Asps, and he's got a lot of expensive spells.
I think it's a good card. I'll play it, but I don't think it's on par with a Disciple of Phoenix.
Sure, no.
I mean, I really like that.
And he's also looking to be much heavier in his devotion to black.
Yeah, I really like that he settled into his role as the black player because black was wide open, and he found that. He really just needs a few cheaper cards. Like, this might be the time. I don't know what his mana is going to look like, but, I mean, I might honestly take the Return Phalnix here. Obviously, Erebos Emissary and Disciple of Phoenix are just much better cards, but he has so much power in his deck.
And he already has 2 Disciples.
Yeah, and 2 Nessian Asps, and Courser of Crufix, and just all this firepower,
He can't resist the Erebos Emissary.
I mean, it's a better card, there's no question, and that's even casting cost included. That's not like, oh, it's a better card, but it costs more. Like, I would rather pay 4 for an Erebos Emissary than 2 for a Disciple of Phoenix. Or 2 for a Return Phalnix, I mean. But he's at a point in the draft where you need to take 2 drops very aggressively.
Yeah.
As he takes his, 4th 5 drop, 5th 5 drop, and he already has 2 6 drops and a 7 drop.
Right.
So, I mean, and tons of 4 drops.
Right.
So this is the kind of point where I think I would have took the Return Phalnix over the Erebos Emissary, even though it's a much weaker card.
Right.
Obviously, I like that pick because it was Gray Merchant over Nothing Much, and Gray Merchant's still very good. And with all the Disciple of Phoenix that he's picked up and everything, the Gray Merchants are going to end up being all-stars in his deck.
Yeah, oh, absolutely. I could see him just going for, 6 and 7.
Yeah. But even as a keepsake Oregon, too, I mean, he really has a lot of casting cost in this deck.
But he's got an Opaline Unicorn. He's got the Courser of Crufix.
The Sylvan Carotid,
Sylvan
which is gonna be really
Carotid,
good. But that's not a lot of different cards. He needs to draw Sylvan Carotid by turn 2.
And draw the green.
And draw the green. Or draw Opaline Unicorn.
He's going to be heavy black, right?
Yeah. His deck is very powerful, but it's going to be a little slow. And that's why, when I see the opportunity to pick up like a Return Phalanx late, I'm all about it.
How do you feel about Nick the Shrine to Nyx here?
That's not a card. You just already have to have out 4 black in casting costs before you're even netting a mana, right? And I mean, that's just not useful.
Right. Is there any? Oh, he takes Coordinated Assault away from someone else rather than take the Carven Lab Pad, which.
He would never play the Lamp Pad. It doesn't offer his deck anything. That's a fine hate. I mean, it could be a sideboard card, but I mean, it's not an important one. That's a good sideboard card.
Yeah, good sideboard card that probably won't kill anything any of his opponents will play.
Yeah, probably nobody else is black, but one of his opponents might have been able to splash that in against him or something like that.
Oh, yeah.
And you never know. There really can't be one other black player, huh? Like,
it seems impossible.
You have to assume there could be, but not with how late the cards have been going around. Gray Merchant 6, Disciple of Phoenix, I don't even know, 12.
So you view this deck as being base black here?
Yeah, I mean, he didn't plan for it to be that way. Like, it would actually be more functional probably if it was base green since you have the Sylvan Carotid.
Right. That's what I was going to ask. I mean, does it affect your ability to play that card? Does it affect your ability to play? Look at this Lash of the Whip coming around.
Clearly black was wide open, and he saw no green this pack.
Yeah.
Not even a little bit.
No, none.
We knew he wasn't going to see a lot.
Right.
But he saw just none of any kind.
Right.
So he had no choice but to take all the black cards.
Oh.
This is incredible. And he's thinking about that casting cost. The Disciple of Phoenix is much better. But I, once again, would have took the Return Phalanx there just because, I mean, I don't know what his 2-drop slot is going to look like. It's almost non-existent. Whereas I've never seen someone have more powerful 4 and 5 drops in my entire life.
Crazy.
Yeah. Clearly, he's the only black player at the table, and he just got to have his way with Disciple of Phoenixes and Gray Merchants galore. But once again, I think his 2-drop and 3-drop slot is going to be ugly here.
Right. I agree completely.
I mean, we were watching. I mean, they just weren't there, right? I didn't see him take them.
No.
I mean, he could have took 1 or 2 Return Phalanxes, which I think he should.